Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Stollings. You may or may not know me here on YouTube as MarauderEX. I hope you do. If you don't, now you do. And as always, I'm your host for Operation Recap, where I take some of the stories from OperaInfo.com and I show them off here on YouTube. You know, that sort of thing. That's what I do. I was going to make a joke from, I drink your milkshake right up with I've got a straw going all the way over it, but I couldn't figure out how to make it work. I couldn't. Anyway, so I've got some stories from Opera Info that I'm going to share with you guys today, and I'm kind of a fan of these stories. They're kind of entertaining, so let's check them out. First off, Ikaruga to be released on Steam next week, and by next week I mean February 18th in case you are watching this in the future, and it's not actually a week from now. Anyway, February 18th, Ikaruga will be released on Steam. We actually talked about this a while back on the show, that it got greenlit for Steam. Very successful. Very excited about that because Ikaruga is one of my favorite bullet hell type games. It's one of my only bullet hell type games that I will actually sit and play for any length of time. Originally showed up on consoles for the Dreamcast, never really made it to the US on the Dreamcast, but thanks to the Dreamcast being so lax with its security, people were able to burn copies of it and play it. But it did get a legitimate commercial release on the GameCube and is one of the more sought-after GameCube titles, should you have a GameCube or a Wii that is backwards compatible. Fantastic game, and now even more people are going to be able to play it. So I suggest checking out what is being added to the Steam version, because they typically add some fun things. Achievements, leaderboard type stuff, that whole spiel. But very excited about that. If you are a fan of shoot-'em-ups, bullet hell type games, this is definitely a game to check out if you have not already. So go look at that. Next up, there was a Nintendo Direct, and there's a lot of stories from the Nintendo Direct that happened this week. I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm going to talk about one of them. And this one is not necessarily the biggest, but it is one of the more intriguing ones. Game Boy Advance titles are going to be coming to the Wii U Virtual Console. Why was this not a thing beforehand? So we got the message that DS games were going to be available on the Wii U, which I've been saying forever that needs to happen because you basically have a giant freaking DS. You've got the tablet controller and then you've got a TV screen. Why was that not a thing? Game Boy Advance titles seems like even more of a no-brainer because it's an older format, much more easy to just translate the ROM to whatever you're using it to in terms of software and hardware differences. But why was this not a thing on the Wii? But it's going to be a thing on the Wii U, and I'm actually very excited about this because, as I said with the DS announcement, that I would pay a great deal of money for certain games to be bundled together for the Wii U, even if as being remakes. I would pay gladly for a disc copy of all of the Golden Sun games together as one compilation. The Castlevania games, the Advance Wars games, that. And now this is actually a step closer to that. I won't be able to buy the disc version of it because it'll be on the Virtual Console, but that's still a step in the right direction. And I am super excited about that. And I hope you all are too, because the Game Boy Advance had a wonderful library of titles. And the ones that they're starting off with: Metroid Fusion, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3, which is basically just Yoshi's Island, but some new stuff. So check that out, starting off in April. So if you have a Wii U, things are not looking as bleak for Wii U owners in terms of, some new-ish content. And the last story of the week is one I'm going to rant about. And I know, I got so many comments about just the look I gave with the Xbox One memory. This is going to be another one of those. So let's see if I can get another look. So Sega has announced that they are going to be doing a new Shining series title. Normally this would be cause for jubilation. I am a huge fan of the Shining series. I've got a ton of them on my shelf. I've Let's Played the bulk of them. And I was one of the people who caught in the massive firestorm that was Sega trying to deal with that over a year ago in a less than positive way. But it's not, because I've been dealing with those, and part of the problem is the series director does not like the Western fanbase. There's been a lot of back and forth, He says that the Western fans are holding the series back because we're too nostalgic. There's been insults from Western audience to the series director hurled back. It's just not a pretty sight. I, for one, would be willing to give the games a chance if they were to make it over. I really wanted to play Shining Blade on the PSP. I really wanted to play Shining Arc, Shining Hearts, Shining Force Feather. I would have loved to have given these a shot. The newest one, however, was tweeted that it will not be an RPG. It's actually going to be a fighting game. Okay, let's just take a step back. Okay, it's a fighting game. Interesting. I'm good with trying new things. You know, there was a Persona game that was a fighting game, and it did well. So, you know, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. Only problem is it is only the modern Shining titles. Nothing that the director would state as one of the retro titles that the Western audiences seem to latch onto. It's all the newer titles, the anime style, the more anime style, I should say, because even the older ones had kind of an anime style to them. Let's just be honest. I would be more upset about this if, you know, there was any shot of it coming out in the U.S. because I know there's not. They've ignored the last 6 or 7 Shining titles here in the U.S. and never to be released. So I'm just going to chalk this one up to being the same fate. But should it happen and you are a fighting game fan or a Shining fan, it might be worth a look, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it. And I really don't suggest any of you do the same. But it's a thing, and I wanted to talk about it because I face-palmed. I could see the reasoning behind it, but I face-palmed. So that has been my recap for this week. Go check out Op Rainfall for more news, reviews, stories, editorials, reviews. I said reviews. I'm blanking on what all I can say right now. I'm gonna go. So, see you guys at Rainfall. Till then, later everyone.